like Gretsch Round Badge drums from the 50s and 60s. So these drum sets are worth a lot of money and they keep going up even more, but the snare drums kind of have a bad rap. One reason for that is the micro-sensitive throw-off. This is a micro-sensitive throw-off on a 1960s progressive jazz. It looks okay, but it doesn't actually work. You move the handle, this doesn't go up or down. And the reason for that is there's an internal piece that's broken. Fortunately, it's not really that hard to fix. Of course, now they've reproduced these and you can get the new version that'll bolt right on, and I've done that on a couple of drums and it works great. But there's a way to fix this that doesn't really cost hardly anything and makes it almost as good as new if it has the typical failure. So that's what this video is about. Just in the interest of giving credit where it's due, I wanted to point out that I did not come up with this fix myself. This was posted on the drumforum.org by forum member Rick Everglade. So this is his solution to the problem. I did a couple of drums before using his idea, and I was doing this third one and thought I would document the process to help out anyone else that is having this problem with these classic drums. What happens on these is there's a little round, like an axle almost, on the inside that this threads through. Well, it doesn't thread through it, passes through, and then this rides on that the internal mech rides on that. Well, that is made out of the same pot metal as this tombstone casting, and over the years those wear down and break off, and once they're gone, then when you flip this handle, since it doesn't have the little axle to turn on, it doesn't raise the thing up and down. So to fix that, you need to replace that little axle thing, and that's what we're going to do. So of course the first step is to get the throw-off off the drum. So to remove it, you have to take out these two screws and then back the tension knob all the way out from here. Okay, so this is the casting, tombstone casting I guess they call it, off the drum, and just looking at it like this, it looks like it's okay. This is part of the casting. This is the collar that this rotates around, but it looks okay at the moment, but if you start looking at it closer, you can see that this collar is no longer attached to the casting. So when you move the handle, this whole thing moves back and forth instead of rotating around. So this is what we have to replace, is this busted part here. This is what we're going to replace the broken piece with. This is a bronze flange bearing. I got this at a local hardware store. It was $3. I checked around 2 or 3 other places in town, had these in stock. This is the smallest one they stock. They all seem to have the same size. It's a 3/8 inch diameter, has a 1/4 inch hole through the center, and it's 1/2 inch overall length. So what it looks like. Okay, first step is to take this apart on the inside to get the mechanism out. So you take out these 2 screws that hold these spring clips in place, and underneath the spring clips there's a little ball bearing. That's what these spring clips are holding in place. So be careful that you don't lose this little ball bearing here. So this over there. So this is our problem. This is supposed to be part of that. It's supposed to be right there, but it's come undone, it's broken off. So here's our bronze sleeve, and you can see here it fits perfectly for this job, the 3/8 inch. The first one of these I've done 3 of these now. I had to take a rat tail file and just file this just very slightly to get it to fit. So now we have to get this to go through this hole, which means we have to open this up. And that is really the only difficult part. It's not even, that's not difficult either, but that's the only tricky part of this whole thing is drilling this hole bigger. So I've got this brand new 3/8 inch drill bit. I'm just going to open this hole up to that size. So now we got a 3/8 inch hole where that smaller hole used to be. And then you can see this almost fits. Not quite, so we'll have to file that out just a bit. It really shouldn't take much with the rat tail file. You do want to have a nice tight fit too, so I get too carried away. There we go. So that now snaps in there and takes the place of the piece that was originally cast into there. So there we go. On these sleeves, this 1/2 inch length works fine, and that's all that's available, so this is what you're going to probably have to buy. And I mean, maybe you could find a shorter one. I did 2 of them without changing this, and they worked just fine. For this one, I've opted to try shortening that, so I took my Dremel and cut about 1/8 of an inch off. So, and it's still going to looks like it's going to work just fine. So that's something you can do if you want to get crazy. So now we put this all back together. Just feed this in there. There. So, and then line this up with that hole. And get this all. Okay, so now this has no choice but to, when you move it, it can't, there's no flex in it. It has to go around that little axle. So that moves this up and down like it's supposed to. A little ball bearing in there. One of these spring clips. So there. Now what's actually going to hold this in place is going to be the spring tension on the adjustment knob. So it's just a friction fit, but it can't go anywhere once it's all back together. So, although it can come out now, so, but don't worry about that. I mean, I suppose you could put a couple drops of glue or something to hold it in place. I didn't do that. It doesn't seem to be a problem once it's all together. So it's all ready to go back on the drum. Okay, so now it's all back together. The only trick kind of to putting it back together is that bushing wants to pop out of here until you get everything lined up, and you have to kind of hold everything in place. Once it's all together, this will hold it, the pressure from here will hold it in place, but before that happens it can pop out. So now I'm going to move the handle. This is actually going up and down, whereas before it did not. So that's definitely an improvement. So there you have it. Snares off, snares on, snares off, snares on. I can finally use this drum for the first time since I've owned it for about 10 years. I mean, I could use it, but I had to loosen the butt side to turn the snares off, and I always wondered why this thing didn't work, and now I know, thanks to Rick and his solution, and hopefully it'll help some of the rest of you out to get your drums working too.